Hello. Hey, Isaac.
Hey Ruby, hey everybody. How we doing?
Hey, folks. So if you're just joining us, let us know where you're joining from. Isaac, actually, this is the first time in a long time that it's just been me and you on a stream. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see what we jump into. How are you feeling
My
about the duo?
I'm super excited. My Mac that just turned on is super excited. I think this is it's definitely it feels just like you said, like forever. Like
Yeah.
we're back here like it's the first day again. Who else is excited for this stream? Let's see your hype in the chat.
Awesome. So while you're hyping up the chat and letting us know where you're joining from, we will let you know what we do here typically on our stream. So this is the Postman Student Program live stream, and what we usually do is promote API literacy and API education through a couple of different programs that you can find on our webpage. Let me actually share that link here. This is our webpage where you can find more info about us. And the programs that you're going to find there are free. They offer digital badges that you can display on your social profiles like LinkedIn and your resume, just as an example. Isaac, can you let folks know what they can expect from our streams typically?
For sure. So tune into our bi-weekly live streams for Postman tech demos, Q&As, tech talks. Sometimes we'll even have Postmanauts and Postman student leaders as guests, and even spotlight some of our Postman student community members and their work, like you.
Yeah, so we've had a couple of folks in the past join us to highlight some of the cool projects that we're working on. So these streams are definitely a lot of fun. But let's get into some formal introductions. By now, if you're a regular to our stream, you already know myself and Isaac. But for those folks who don't know, I'll introduce myself. My name is Ruby, and I'm a senior developer advocate at Postman. I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, which is in the United States, and I've been at Postman for a year and a half now. Isaac, can you introduce yourself?
For sure. Hey everyone, my name is Isaac. I'm a developer advocate on the Postman Student Programs team, and I'm coming to you from New York. And I'm super excited to be back again with Ruby to bring you another Postman Student Programs live stream.
Yeah, so we got Isaac representing New York and myself representing Rhode Island. I see a couple folks representing Nigeria. That's awesome. Welcome, welcome. And
Nice.
oh, who's this? Somebody else from New York? Check
Oh,
that out.
New York is in the building.
Nice. So let me actually show you all what we're discussing today. So we're going to start with quickly chatting about our student expert certification because we talk about it a lot and not a lot of folks might know what we're talking about. So I want to make sure that you do get a chance to see that really quickly before we jump into our main content for today. So checking out student expert certification, let me actually share my screen here. What you're seeing right now is our landing page, our web page, which we linked earlier. I can show that on the screen again one more time. This is what you're looking at. And pretty much what we advise folks to do is go to that landing page to check out our programs. If you scroll down, you'll see all of those programs. We got student expert, student leader, and classroom. Anyone and everyone is able to become a student expert. You don't have to necessarily be a student. You could be a working professional. Once you check out our student expert program, you'll get to sign up and have access to Postman training. So you'll learn everything about API fundamentals and everything there is to know about the Postman platform to interact with APIs. You'll even get a badge that you can show on your social profiles and your resume. You'll get access to exclusive Postman meetups and events. So not too long ago, we actually had a hackathon that was exclusive to people in our programs. So if you were a student expert, you would have had access to it. And we also send invitations to student expert program community. So this is in reference to Discord, I believe, which we'll show the link for that in just a second. If you wanted to check out where we hang out, it's usually in Discord. There it is. Wait, I was just showing a Discord link. I shared the wrong link earlier. So this is actually the student program webpage URL. I'll keep that up for a couple seconds. And then this is the Discord link. which you can join our server and hang out with us in our community. But anyway, looking back at the expert certificate, you'll just sign up with this basic information. Again, all of this is free. Once you hit submit, you'll get a unique URL to go to our Postman Academy training. Again, it's free. There are no strings attached. Once you finish, you get a certificate and a badge. And if you ever get stuck in the program, you can lean on our Discord community and actually lean on our office hours. So Isaac, do you want to share a little bit about office hours in Discord?
Yeah, definitely. So, as Ruby mentioned, we hold office hours every Thursday, and held by myself or my our coworker Anshul, where you can bring your student expert related questions. We'll help guide you through the training, get you unstuck, and get you even closer to getting certified as a Postman student expert.
Nice. So that was our student expert training coverage segment in the very beginning. We're going to actually move on to what we're all excited about today. And we'll be talking about mock servers and how to simulate a backend with a mock server. So I know a lot of folks are joining us from QA backgrounds, so quality assurance backgrounds. Folks who are testing APIs regularly are excited to learn more about mock servers, and we are here to provide that information. So for today's episode, we thought it'd be a great idea to discuss templating with mock servers since Postman recently announced support for this in a blog post. Let me actually share that blog post where we announced templating. So that's up on the screen right now. But yeah, Isaac's actually going to go into a quick demo on how exactly to set up a mock server, and we'll chat about why mocking server responses is actually really helpful when you're developing projects. Then afterwards, we'll explore what all this new templating stuff is about. So Isaac, feel free to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruby, for that awesome explanation and segue. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So today's live stream, as Ruby mentioned, is going to be about using mock servers in your next project. Some of you might be wondering, what is a mock server? For those of you who are new to it and maybe haven't heard of it before. And there might be some of you who have experience with mock servers, and maybe you've even made a project or used mock servers in some kind of app or anything you've done in Postman before. But this presentation and demo and stream will be entirely beginner, so you don't need any prior knowledge to using mock servers. And yeah, let's jump right in. So first question would be, oh, looks like I went a little too fast there. Oh, okay. Yeah, so first, I want to give you some context on using mock servers. So right now, today in the developer world, as applications and systems are becoming more complex, as we build bigger and bigger apps, or apps that just have a lot more functionality, we end up having the need to spend more time debugging our apps and our systems. The more, for example, the bigger that Twitter gets, or the bigger that Postman gets, the more use cases that we need to account for, and we might even run into some bottlenecks or issues. So that means more time debugging. So just as a statistic, individual developers can spend up to 16% of their time debugging APIs, compared to 10% in their ideal state, or like in a perfect situation, you wouldn't need to spend so much time debugging. So this can be time consuming and frustrating, right? Because you want to build and create and keep coding. You don't really want to spend too much time having to debug your software. So what is the solution to this? A solution is mock servers. So in Postman, mock servers can help you in all stages of the API development lifecycle. And I'll go ahead and discuss how, and then at the end, we'll have time for a demo. So just what is a mock server? So if you look at that image first, you'll see exactly what it looks like to spin up a mock server in Postman. A mock server is a tool that lets you make API requests and simulate the return response. So just as you see there, you can create a mock server, and we can use that to essentially send request just like a regular, like a normal, a real server would work, and then we'll simulate a return response. So when you make a request to a mock server, what Postman does is it matches that request configuration to what we call examples that were saved for the request. And those examples respond with the data that was added. So we're going to keep looking at, we're going to keep exploring this, and I'll show you in the demo and point out what is an example. But just to add more of an idea, mock servers allow you to preview what an API can deliver in a production instance by mocking the request and example responses. So essentially, think of like the word mock as imitate. So if you think of a mime, if you've ever seen a mime in person, if any of you have been to Paris or France before, or seen cartoons with mimes and they copy everything you do.
Seen Mr. Mime, the Pokemon.
Exactly. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I love Mr. Mime. Yeah, like Ruby said, like Mr. Mime, imagine mock servers being just like that, imitating everything that a real server does. So we can use mock servers to allow rapid development of API infrastructure without the need to write code. So this is great because this means you can actually save yourself a lot of time, and it shortens the feedback loop, which lets developers iterate faster when working. So some of you might be wondering, why would you even want to use mock servers? And I could tell you there are some really great reasons why you would want to. For one, mock servers help you work across different teams more efficiently. So in the real world, we don't just work by ourselves, we work in teams. And those teams can be different sizes, big or small. And oftentimes you have more than one team. You have the front end team, the back end team, there might be a product development team, a testing team, and in those different teams, you have to learn how to work with them and across them. So you can use mock servers to help you in many different stages of the API development lifecycle, and that works for both API producers and consumers. So I'm going to illustrate this more in the demo, but just to give you other reasons why you would want to use mock servers, let's use an example scenario. So let's say you work for a startup or for a company, and the front end team wants to start integrating with data coming back from the back end, or from the server. So if the API endpoints aren't fully set up yet, and if they're not working, then your front end team they won't be able to really create a front end for your app. Or even if they tried it, it won't be accurate or might not even be possible. But you can actually use Postman to spin up a mock server from some API specifications that you might have already set. And this will simulate server responses that can be used on the front end. Then the UI developer can get started making an interface right away by querying the mock server and working against the expected responses. And as I said before, we'll look at a demo of mock servers to see this in action. So let's jump right in the demo. And in case any of you have questions, you can feel free to ask them in the chat, and we will highlight them and get to them.
Yeah, so while Isaac is pulling up his demo screen share there, I did throw some questions into the chat to get y'all thinking. So what are some things that you want to learn more about with regard to mock servers? Because there's a lot that you can do there. Isaac just provided a lot of context. And then if you've ever worked on a group project with both front-end and back-end developers, we'd love to know. So please feel free to share about that in the chat. Isaac, were you able to pull up that demo screen share? Nice.
Oh, my mic was muted. Yes, I was able to pull it up. So right now, this is an example of, as I mentioned, this is what it looks like to work with mock servers in Postman. So I have a collection already made, but for this demo, we're going to go ahead and create a new one. So the way that you can set up a mock server in Postman is we're going to just go ahead and go to new, and we're going to select mock server. Okay, so in this demo, we're starting from scratch. We've created a brand new mock server. Now, there are two things you will need for setup, and this is important to remember. The first thing you need is a unique request path that's here. And we're going to enter Pokemon. And the second thing you need is an example response body. This is something that you would expect to see back from the server. So here we're going to enter some text. I'll enter Pikachu. Now we're going to click next, and then we're going to call our mock server. We're going to give our mock server a name. So I'm going to give my mock server a name. We'll call this mocking with Pokemon. And if you look below here, you'll see some options and some boxes. So the first option is a choice to add an environment if I want to. We won't use an environment yet for this example, but we will leave this first box checked. It says save the mock server base URL. So it's going to create a URL that we can save a URL that we can use as an environment variable. So I'll check that.
Really quickly, Isaac, can you zoom into your Postman here? Perfect.
How's this?
That's great.
Awesome. So yes, so I checked the box to save the mock server URL as an environment variable. And now there's another option here that says simulate a fixed network delay. For now, I'm going to leave this unchecked. Basically, the next option here is to make mock server private. Basically, if I have some data that, well, to go back here and explain this, this is an option that allows me to simulate a fixed network delay. So if I want to recreate some of those edge cases, I can leave both of these options unchecked. But for now, I'll leave this unchecked, and I'm going to, for now, make mock server private. If I had some data that I didn't want to share, or if I wanted to keep it so only people who are authorized can access this, I would check this. But for now, I'm going to leave that unchecked, and I'm going to click create mock server. Cool. So Postman made a mock server here, and Postman made a mock server here. And as you can see, we have a request in here, and it even created a URL using, and it added the path that I created, that's this slash Pokemon part. And a few other things happen here. So Postman created a collection called Mocking with Pokemon that contains a single GET request that goes to this path that I specified during setup. And if I hover over the URL, I'll see that it's resolved. And that's because Postman automatically created a collection variable. That's what this C means. And assigned it to my URL. So if I go back to my collection name, and if I go to variables here with this green dot, I could see that here's my collection variable named URL, and here's the value, which is the URL link. So that's pretty cool. And if you hover over this tab here that says no environment, you can see that I have an environment called Mocking with Pokemon. This is the one I just created. This was one that was made before, but this would be the environment that Postman created for our mock server. So for now, I'll stay on no environment. And next, now we're going to hit our Pokemon URL. So let's go ahead and hit send. Yay, Pikachu. So this is the mock response coming from Postman. And if I wanted to add more Pokemon, I can do that simply by editing my example. So to do that, I would just click on, I would open up the GET request by clicking on this arrow here and going into this file here that says default, e.g. default. This is my example. And now if I go down here, I can make edits to my response body. So the response was plain text. I'm going to change it to, let's add a response type to JSON. And let's see. Let's go into, here we go. So we're here in the body. We're going to hit JSON, and let's make it an array of different Pokemon. So
Really quickly here, Isaac, with GET requests, we're just receiving data from a server through an API usually. So we should probably change this request to a post or to a patch, something that realistically would have a body. So if you want to change that just for the sake of the example, we can definitely do that as well.
sure. So we changed our request HTTP method to post. Now we're back. We're back in editing our request body, and here I changed my request body type, data type, to JSON. And yes, so we're going to change the response body to be an array of Pokemon. So I'll make my first one Pikachu, and let's add 3 more. So Ruby, would you like to uh, give me some Pokemon to add to my array?
Yeah, for sure. Let's definitely add Mr. Mime.
Okay, Mr. Mime. Cool. Anyone else? I'll also take suggestions from the audience or anyone who wants to add 2 more Pokemon to my array.
I'll make a bonus suggestion. We can throw Charizard in there.
Okay, love Charizard. Gotta have Charizard. Awesome, and let's add 1 more to our Pokemon party here.
Nice. We got a great comment from Hamza in the chat. I believe he was answering a previous question. Yes, I do work with a team of both front end and back end, and it's really amazing. I really learned a lot during that time, and that's the reason why I want to learn back end. Awesome. You're in the right spot because our student expert program is going to help you understand all of what goes on with APIs, which if you're working with back end teams, you're going to need to know some of that information. And especially these mock servers that we're covering today, this is going to be especially helpful for you as well. So you're in the right spot, Hamza. Welcome. We love that you're here.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that we have people who have diverse experiences in tech as well at Postman. Cool. So I saw some suggestions while Ruby was sharing Hamza's question. I saw someone recommended Muck, and we'll add 1 more. Someone added one of my favorite grass starters, Rowlet. The cute little owl Pokemon. Cool. So I think we have.
Is that a new Pokemon, Rowlet?
Yeah, Rowlet was like a Pokemon that came out in like one of the newer games, Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Oh gosh, I'm so like outdated with my Pokemon knowledge.
That's okay. We're brushing up on Pokemon with Postman now. Cool. So we have our Pokemon party here array, Pokemon party array. We set our request HTTP method to be post. We set the body to be JSON, and we edited the body response itself to be an array. And yes, so I have a response header. I also wanted to mention that we'll set it to content type, which it already is. And yes. So now I have a response header and I have a response body. I can make any other updates to my request or my response on here in this example, but it looks good to me. I like this party. I think we're ready to battle the gym leader. So let's go ahead and hit save. And now we have to go back into our request here.
We should probably change the request. Yeah, there you go.
So we're gonna, since we changed the HTTP method in our example called default, we're gonna change it here in our request as well to post. Click save. And now let's go ahead and battle.
So this might have happened because we had set the mock server previously on a GET request. So it might not have. Actually, let's try sending it again to see if maybe it was just a delay or something.
Yeah.
So I wonder if from here we can set the mock server. So this, again, happened because we switched up our HTTP method midway through, which wouldn't have been ideal if we're testing this out. So from the collection here, actually, we can make the mock server too. So instead of making the mock server from scratch, since we have a collection, we can make a mock from that collection. So Isaac, if you hit the More Actions menu on this collection, Mocking with Postman.
More action.
So on the left
Here we go.
side, you have on the collection that you're working on right now.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Yep.
Create
Then
mock.
mock. Yep. So we can make a new mock from that collection now that we know it's going to be a post.
Gotcha. And are we leaving this in the same collection that we already have here?
Yep. So it's pointing to the exact collection that we want to mock. It doesn't have an environment, but we can still check save the mock server URL as a new environment variable because it'll make a new environment for us that we can select. And we can leave the rest as it is, then create that mock server.
Awesome.
Now we want to make sure that we select that new environment that was just created by this new mock, just like you had before.
All right, we're in our new environment here.
Did you name it too? I might have missed that.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. So now if we send that post request, we should get the new mock sending this response, which is a post.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and send that request now then.
Let's double check that we use the same the environment that we just set up. So when you created this mock, actually you can double check by going to mock servers on the left, and you'll have a list of all of your mock servers. The one that you just created right now, it's this one for sure?
Yeah.
Awesome. So this might be a tricky one because we switched it up and you have previous examples. So we'll do some like going back and forth to see exactly which environment it is. But Isaac, if you're comfortable, I have a different example we can share as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Awesome. So I'm going to share really quickly another example of mocking. So Isaac set us up really well with the background on mock servers and how to get started setting one up from scratch. There was a little bit of a hiccup there because we switched our HTTP method midway through because we were starting to make a post request and we wanted to see a post request's actual response. And something got mixed up. Maybe we're using the wrong environment or the wrong mock. But that would be up to us to kind of filter out and see which one fits. I have another example here, which is in a public workspace. And I'll share the link for that up here so you can follow along if you are curious. Let me see where I have that link. Right here. So if you want to follow along with this example, feel free to check out this public workspace. You can fork this collection up top here by selecting the More Actions menu and creating a fork in your own workspace. But let me show you what's going on over here. Previously, we saw Isaac set up a mock server from scratch. He went to the mock servers icon over here, and he selected new, and he created a new mock server. There's another way that you can create a mock server, and that's with an existing collection. So I happen to have one here, and in this collection, I have one request. Let's say I am building out an application with my team, and we don't have our endpoints set up yet, but we know we're going to have one for signing up on our application. So I just have URL/signup as my endpoint for now. And I know this is going to be a post request because when you're signing up for stuff, you usually have to create a new username, create a new password, stuff like that. So in the body of this request, I have an example username, which is just Ruby, and an example password, mock servers rock123. Let me actually zoom in a little bit so you can see. There we go. So this is just the request. The important thing with using mock servers is that you have an example response for the mock server to lean on. So for this request, I actually added an example. I did that by going to the More Actions menu on this request and adding an example. So in my example, I have that same URL, but I also have the response here, which I can design myself and have the mock server read. So I wanted actually a greeting to come back saying hello and pointing to that username that was actually just in that body. You can do that with this templating language, these templating helpers that we just started supporting in Postman, which is a brand new thing. So if you're trying this out, you're trying something brand new. So in my greeting, I'm saying hello, and I'm pointing to the username that was in the request body. So I'm accessing that request data. And if there's no username, here's a default username you can use, mock server. And then I have like a ending message there. You made this request from, and now I'm pointing actually to the headers of that request. So in the headers, I want the user agent information. In addition to, let's say my request over here, I just had a username and a password. My server might realistically give back more information, more than just a username and a password. It might give me a unique ID. It might give me a created at timestamp and an updated at timestamp. So I included that in my example response. So I'm using actually for the ID here, our faker.js library, and I'm just using random UUID for that, and created at and updated at for the same thing. I'm using the same thing, the faker.js library for these. So if I actually send this, it's not going to work, and I'll explain why in just a second. It's not going to work because there's actually no mock associated with this collection yet. So I have this great collection, I have this great example, but I have no mock set up for this yet. So what I'm going to do is what you saw Isaac just do a couple seconds ago. I'm going to hit that More Actions menu on actually the collection, because you have to set it from the collection. Let me not move so quick a little bit. I'm on my collection. I hit the More Actions menu, and I go to Mock Collection. This is going to take me through the mock setup workflow here in Postman. I'm going to give my mock server a name, and I'm going to call it Live Stream Templating. And it's going to point to this collection automatically because that's the one that I hit the More Actions menu on. I don't want to use any environment right now because I don't have any relevant environment. So I'm going to create a new one by hitting this checkbox, save the mock server URL as a new environment variable. And then I don't need any of this for my purposes right now, but if I were in QA or a tester, then that might be important to me. So I'm going to create this mock server for this collection. And now the mock server is telling me it has made no calls yet. It's true, I didn't call anything yet. I'm going to go back to my collection here and to my request. You can see that this URL variable is still not resolved. That means I need to actually select the environment that was just created. The live stream templating environment literally was just created when I made that mock server. So now, let me actually get this out of the way. Here's my original request. I'm going to send it, and what I get back in the response is a greeting. Hello, Ruby, because my request body had Ruby in it. You made this request from, and this is from my headers, the user agent in my headers. And then I get a random ID, a random timestamp for when it was created, and a random timestamp for when it was updated. This was all dynamic data, stuff that I used templating for. So looking back at this again, my example response here, I'm pointing to the body, and I'm pointing to my headers using this new templating helper. I'm also using our faker.js library to come up with random UUIDs and random dates. And that was what helped me come up with this simulated response from my server. So this is all super helpful. Let me actually stop sharing my screen for just a second. This is going to be super helpful when you want to test out the workflow of an app that you're working on with your team. But the endpoints, let's say, are not fully fleshed out. You haven't routed things completely on the back end of things. So before deploying an API, you could use these mocks to simulate the server responses. That lets your whole team, front end and back end, get an idea of what they're working on or what they're working with, so that they don't need to stop their progress to wait for each other. Your front end devs, for example, Isaac mentioned this as well, they can keep chugging along and start setting up front end components for their app while everyone's still working on the API. Once you're ready to deploy that API, simply just swap out that mock URL with the real one. So Isaac, did you want to add anything else to that before we shift gears?
Sure, yeah. So going back to an awesome demo, Ruby, and awesome points made about how to use mock servers. I guess going back to the question of why you would want to use mock servers, or why you should care as students or early developers or learners of APIs and Postman, is because so yeah, mock servers can be used to essentially imitate what servers do and simulate a response, and they're a great way for you to save time if in case you don't have a solid foundation laid out yet. But you can continue to build out these examples in the mock series that we showed. So we can do things like understand what is expected from our team. So let's say you're an API engineer. Let's say you're already working on a team with front end and back end developers. We can use these mock servers to this feature in Postman to understand what is expected from everyone on the team and just to go ahead and start building. So the front end engineer can also start building that user interface, kind of like in the demo, when I mentioned in the demo. And at a certain point, maybe if you're the API engineer, or if there's someone else on your team who is the API engineer, they can actually go ahead and build and deploy an actual API. And at that point, you can swap out the mock URL with your deployed URL. And I would just share that one more thing you can do with mock servers is that can I share my screen again, Ruby, real quick?
Yeah, go for it. While you're setting that up, we did get someone shouting themselves out. They're a Postman student expert from Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome, welcome. We love to see it. Love to see folks in our student community joining us.
Awesome. Yeah, welcome to the community. So one thing I wanted to share with you all is that if you go from this screen in Postman, if you go to where it says mock servers on the left hand side, which we already are in, and if you select a mock server, I'm going to select the second one since we made some calls there. You can see this table, which is a table of call logs, which essentially shows us what time we sent a request in Postman, what kind of request it was, and the response, all for a mock server. So this is really useful in case something goes wrong, you get a response error back from your request, or if there's some funny thing going on with your request and you're not sure what's happening, you can check the logs and you can look at detailed information about what's going on with your headers, request body, and the response as well. So this is something I also wanted to share. So yeah, as we mentioned, you can also use mocks. You can use mocks when you're testing and debugging, or to simulate scenarios that are hard to recreate in production, like a 429 too many requests code. You can also isolate a system. So you can basically isolate a system under test by mocking out your test dependencies. And that way you can actually go ahead and focus on a small error or issue when it happens and really figure out what's going on. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Awesome. So Isaac, I love that you made that mention about call logs, because that's so important, because you can drill into each and every call that went into that mock server, and see if potentially an error came up, and you can kind of see what the cause for that was and continue iterating from there. One other thing I did want to add, as I was just remembering while you were sharing there, Isaac, is that some people, they go into Postman's platform and they do their due diligence of using the platform for the entire API lifecycle. And so they'll actually go into our API builder through that icon on the left into APIs, and they'll start designing their API here in Postman, which is awesome. You can have a mock server associated with the API that you create in Postman. The way that you would do that is obviously creating a new API here. On that API, you can actually add a collection. So you can generate a collection from the definition that you have here in Postman. And then it would be the same situation. I won't go through all of the details, but you would generate the collection, and then from that collection, make the mock. It's the same cycle that we just went through before, but we did not start with the API. We started with a collection. You can have a collection associated with an API and make a mock from that collection as well. So you have lots of possibilities here. Awesome. So
Very cool.
now that we've checked all of that out, we've covered our bases with mock servers, We are actually going to quickly jump into Isaac sharing about recent blog posts here through the Postman Student Programs. We actually often push out a couple of different blog posts, and Isaac's going to share more about our recent ones. So take it away, Isaac.
So as Ruby mentioned, we do run a blog on Postman and the Postman Student Programs team. We have our own series of blog posts as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. And yeah, so if you go to blog.postman.com, it'll take you to the main Postman blog page. But if we go to student programs, if you search for us in the search bar, you'll find basically an archive of API literacy resources and essentially like a series of posts that we've made that cover our achievements and also news from us, the student programs team. So this archive that covers updates like automation of the Badger API, API design tips for students, advice from our live stream with Arnaud, the API handyman, hackathon tips and tricks, Postman features that will help you on your student journey, updates on the student expert program. These are essentially, this is an archive of learning resources that you can use on your journey to level up your API skills and your knowledge in Postman. So definitely check us out. I will share a link in the chat shortly that'll take you directly to this archive. And then I mentioned this is also all free. So you can learn and level up your skills with us, the student programs team, all for free. And our archive is only growing. So you'll have access to content that's always being updated and will be new and free for you to learn from.
Awesome. So I did flash across the screen here that quick link to our blog archive. You'll get everything that is posted by Postman on blog.postman.com. However, if you're interested in just what the student programs is doing, like Isaac just showed us, you can filter for that. But you can also go to our student program LinkedIn page where you'll see all of our history of previous blog posts, and as well, you'll see our live streams there too. Cool. So we got a quick look at recent blog posts. We can jump into some shout outs now, Isaac, if you're ready.
Yeah, for sure. So first, I'd like to shout out our newest member here, our newest Postman student expert, Toby Loba. I've seen you in the Discord, and I want to say congratulations on getting your student expert certification. It's always a great feeling for us to see our students pushing themselves or striving and making achievements. So we're very proud of you, and congratulations, Toby Loba, and anyone else who made it through the training recently. And we hope to see you apply to the Postman Student Leader Program as well.
Awesome. I do have a shout out for somebody who's also in our student community. So Chetan Khan, he's a student leader and a user in our Discord community. And he recently, in our Share Your Work channel, shared a video from his own YouTube channel where he covers getting started with web development. I know a lot of folks just jumping into tech are going to find value in that kind of content. And Chetan's actually quite an outstanding member of our student community. He's frequently putting out great content for folks to see in Discord. He's even been on one of our previous streams to discuss one of his projects. So definitely join our Discord server if you want to see what he's up to. And feel free to check out his YouTube channel. I think the title of his channel is Code with Chetan. His name is spelled Cetin. And here is that Discord community link for folks who are interested in joining. Any other shout outs or highlights from you, Isaac?
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, definitely shout out to Chetan. Shout out to especially Chintan, who we had on our last live stream and was also one of the winners of our Postman Go with the Flows hackathon. He's been super active in the Discord, helping other students with their student expert training or just asking questions and just being a great example for the community. We love to see students who are helping each other and their peers. And yeah, keep up the great work, Chintan, and we hope to see you. We hope to see other students following your great example.
Nice. So with that, we can actually just jump into how we love closing our streams, and that is with a game of Kahoot. If you've never used Kahoot, it's a quiz game that you can play for free with all of us right now by logging into kahoot.it on your phone's browser. Let me actually play that really quickly. Where is that code? On your screen, folks can see.
The code is also on the screen for anyone that would like to join. Just go to kahoot.it on that link that you see on the bottom left and pop in that code that Ruby just shared.
Yep, so you can join from your phone's browser, or you can open up a new tab, go to kahoot.it and enter that code to join the game. I'm going to see if I can join and see how I fare with these questions. Every week it's something new and challenging, and also something really hilarious, so I can't wait to see what it is.
I'm glad that everyone enjoys these. Last game was very fun. A lot of people found the questions really funny.
Nice. We got a radiant sea lion, charming duck.
These kind of sound like other Pokemon. Like these sound like literal descriptions of Pokemon.
I would believe it because I don't know too much about Pokemon these days. Apparently there's a Rowlet that I've never heard of.
You gotta catch up, Ruby. Gotta catch them all.
I'm sure. I'm done. But yeah, I'm sure there's like a light bulb Pokemon at this point. There's like random object Pokemons.
Yeah, there is. There's even a pair of house keys Pokemon.
Useful.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think we can just jump right into the game.
All right. If there are no one else that would like to join our Kahoot game, we'll be beginning in a couple more seconds. Okay, let's begin.
All right, let's see.
So first question is, what is a mock server in Postman? Is it A, a server that didn't make the cut and went to clown school? B, a server that teases you when you get a response error? C, a tool that automates writing tests in Postman? Or D, a tool that lets you make API requests and simulate the return response? Let's see who can get the answer right. So as a hint, you can use that mime example that I listed. Oh, nice. So most people got the correct answer. A mock server in Postman is a tool that lets you make API requests and simulate the return response. Good job to everyone who got that one.
Yeah, so you can basically mock a backend using that mock server.
Mm-hmm. Oh, looks like we got an extra player. This Arctic Hen, that's a new player that joined somehow.
Nice.
Next question. The winners of the Postman Student Programs Go With The Flow Hackathon were, was it A, Pratik, Rohit, and Chintan? B, Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo? C, Post Malone, Travis Scott, and Drake? Or D, Ruby, Isaac, and Claire?
They were on our very last episode, so if you had caught that one, then you would know.
Yeah, for real. I'll give you a hint. I don't think we've ever had Travis Scott on our stream. But hopefully one day. Awesome. And the right answer was A, Pratik, Rohit, and Chintan. Good job.
All right, who's in the lead? Charming Duck.
Love that Ducks hat. I think I need one of those with how the weather's been lately.
Is it a hat or a helmet? Like that Duck's a football player?
It looks like a hat. I like the Sea Lions cherry pie hat. That looks kind of cool. All right, next question. What are two things you need to set up a mock server? Is it confidence and determination? Is it a request path and an HTTP method, request path and response body, or rubber ducky and a snack?
I feel like there could be multiple answers to this.
I think so too. To be honest, can't go wrong with a rubber ducky and a snack. I think you can. I think that those are two things you need at any time of the day.
Oh, evenly split. Almost.
Very nice. So only one person got this one right, it seems. The correct answer is a request path and a response body is needed to set up a mock server. Oh, so we also got a fifth player, and it looks like Arctic Hen's catching up. Charming Duck still in first place.
Player 5 joins the game.
This will be interesting. If player 5 manages to pull this off, I'll be impressed. The Postman Student Expert Program is an official Postman API certification program, or available to all students, or free, or all of the above. So you would only know this if you've actually joined the certification and applied to Student Expert. And if you didn't know, well, now you know.
Or hear us ad nauseum talk about it.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. Wow, 2 people got this one right. It's all of the above. Postman's Student Expert Program is an official certification program from Postman, available to all students, and it is free. So definitely join the Student Expert Program. Oh, Aquatic Dolphin coming up to second. This will be close. All right, final question. By going to mock servers from the left side column in Postman and selecting a mock, you can see what kind of info. Is it call logs, environments, super secret Postman code, or response body? So I'll give you a hint. I showed this off at the very end after Ruby and I did our demos. So it was when I said, like, I want to show you one more thing in Postman. So let's see who can get this one right, or who remembers that.
Yeah, we mentioned this would be super helpful for QA folks.
So the correct answer was call logs. So it seems like no one else really was able to pick that one out. But yes, remember, by going to the left side column and in Postman and selecting a mock, you can see call logs. So let's see the leaderboard now. In third place, Radiant Sea Lion.
Ooh, nice job.
In second place, Aquatic Dolphin. And in first,
Ooh,
Charming Duck.
it is a hat.
Very nice. Awesome. Good job, everyone that played, and thank you for joining in our Kahoot and live stream.
Nice job and congrats.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was so much fun. I thought those questions were excellent. A lot of those we covered right here live during the stream. So if you're ever stuck on mock servers, you can always rewatch this stream because it is recorded and it stays and lives on YouTube, Twitch, and on LinkedIn. So if you ever want to catch it again, you can find us there. Oh, we got somebody who was in the game that mentioned that they had a bad network. That stinks. But hopefully if you join us for the next stream, you'll get another chance to join our next Kahoot game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. We learned a lot. We got to see setting up mock servers in a couple different ways through the collection from scratch, and even think about how we can start with an API, create a collection from the API, and then mock that collection that's associated with the API. So lots of different strategies there. Thanks, Isaac, for walking us through the background on mock servers and why they're important, and even giving us some scenarios to think about there. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today. Our next stream will be in 2 weeks. It's always every 2 weeks around the same time. So we'll see you then. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.